These policies don't make any sense. We don't, everything is blue, 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 blue. They keep talking about that they're working for the working class. They're working for for black
Right,
people. All this stuff, and I'm like, no, they just make money off of our oppression and us being messed up. I'm not going to continue to play this game because I'm not oppressed. Give me
right.
my money. So so once I realized that after I met with Kamala Harris people and they weren't going to do anything, I said, you know what? Game on.
The Crucial Combo Podcast.
You could be anywhere if you're on this channel. Thank you for tuning in.
To the Crucial Combo Podcast.
Welcome to the show, Zoe Leigh. What's going on?
Hi, how are you doing,
Yeah, it's
Kojo?
Kojo. Yeah,
Okay,
great to meet you. Great to meet you. Thanks for joining in. Um, I'm really excited to
thank
talk to you
you.
tonight. You know what I mean? So, how you been doing so far? How's the day going?
Been well, just watch that pathetic press conference. But yes, other than that, I'm well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was actually just getting the show started, and I was playing a piece of Brandon Johnson at the labor rally yesterday, and it was it was interesting. It was interesting the way the labor rally was kind of framed and the things that were talked about in the rally. So, but first, let me start off. Welcome to the show, Zoe Leigh. I first saw you on the Breakfast Club about a year ago, and I had did a reaction video to that interview because first of all, I was really fascinated by the fact that when you talked about your family's property that was essentially demolished and kind of confiscated via illegal eminent domain by the city of Chicago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Talk about that a little bit because I know that's kind of initially was one of the things that kind of brought you back to Chicago and kind of started your fight, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, my godfather is Leroy Singleton. Leroy Singleton and his four brothers migrated from Mississippi, and they purchased the Sandpipers Lounge, and that was in 1966.
Okay.
They paid it off in the early 90s, and it was always they always had a trust. It was always in a trust, but the city of Chicago takes properties so much they don't care about trust, they don't care about any of those things. And in 2008, the city of Chicago took their liquor license away. My mother had just moved back here from New York. I'm from New York, Albany, New York. My father had just passed
Okay.
away. My mother moved back to her hometown. When she went to go see Leroy, Leroy was explaining to her that they're trying to take this building. So my mom was like, well, they can't do that. We'll take care of it or whatever. My mother paid the taxes three times. Every time it would be a $30,000 tax bill just out of nowhere. My mother would pay
Mm.
it. So after the last tax bill, she said, "We're going to put it in we're going to put it in my nonprofit because then we don't have to pay any more taxes." The city of Chicago found that out, and once they found out they couldn't do another $30,000 tax lien, my mother tried to get TIF money, tax increment financing money, to build affordable
Okay.
housing. When the aldermen at the time, Terry Peterson, Latasha Thomas, and then now David Moore, they would deny my mom, tell my mother they wouldn't speak to her. They would only speak to Leroy. Then they would threaten Leroy, saying, "Why don't you just give that building away?" Because basically they promised that building to a white developer in our
Gotcha.
community. In our community, and my godfather was like, "No." So y'all not even paying me anything. Well, you guys are not doing no like this. I want this property. I'm giving it to my friend. We're gonna do this affordable house. We asked for the tax increment financing. I still want to. I still live in this building in one of the apartments. I don't see the
Right.
issue. Like, long story short, my mother raised $800,000. She started fixing up herself. Our electrician came to the door one day and said, Miss Marsh, the building's not there anymore. I said, what do you mean the building's not there anymore? I said, the building's not there anymore. Like, it got demolished. My mother went to the police station. She got a police report. Then she went down to the city, and because they're self-insured, and tried to get them to compensate her for the money that she put in the building. They were confused, and they kept saying, well, the city, this building doesn't belong to you. She's like, what do you mean? This building belongs to the city. She said, what are you talking about? And so they're saying, well, no, the demolition paper says the city of Chicago owns it. She said, the city of Chicago does not own it. I own it. My brother owns it. Leroy Singleton owns it. We have the deed. What are you talking about? They're saying, ma'am, you don't own it. You don't own it. That's just kept doing that. But I wasn't understanding at that time. At that time, I was working with Dick Gregory. He was 2 years in, and then my mother ended up going. She fought so hard. She wouldn't move to Atlanta with me, so I moved to
Okay.
Atlanta. I told her to come to Atlanta with me because she kept fighting. She's like, Zoe, they can't do this. What they're doing is unlawful. They're violating the Fifth Amendment. They're violating my 14th Amendment. I'm not even getting due process. She's like, Zoe, they can't do this. And so eventually my mother, she started this fight when she was 64. My mother, 70, she'll be
Oh
77
wow.
next year.
13 years.
75, she couldn't do it no more. She went to the hospital, and that's when I packed up all my stuff. That was in 2023, and came here to Chicago. And I was like, I don't care. I don't do this politic thing. I don't know about none of this. All I know is that y'all knocked down this building. It's violation of the Fifth Amendment. It's violation of the 14th Amendment. And my mother has all her receipts. She has all the evidence. And I know that if I was to do this, because I've been locked
Mm-hmm.
up before, y'all gonna lock
Right.
me up. So I'm just not understanding how y'all not following y'all own laws. Because these y'all
Absolutely.
laws. Y'all put this in. And my thing is that building was paid off. No reverse mortgages, no second mortgages, none of that. You knocked down a perfectly great building. The stature was beautiful. The infrastructure was great. You guys knock down equity, you knock down generational
Mm-hmm.
wealth, and you guys don't think that y'all are going to pay when we pay y'all salaries? That doesn't make any sense. I'm going to need my
Yeah.
reimbursement. So that's what I looked at it as. And when I started fighting this, and people were like, well, you're going to need hundreds of people. And I'm like, man, everybody ain't going to fight like I fight. Number two is we're not living in a civil rights era.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? So people aren't going to do that. So I said, so anybody who is a public servant, you would think would have never let me spend 17 weeks outside protesting. To the point I start going inside asking for help and telling this man, like, hey man, like, I'll flip this city red. This is the worst customer service I've ever seen in my life. Then you're telling local media not to take our stories. So the only thing I had left was the Breakfast Club. And so I know Charlemagne because of my relationship with Dick
Got you.
Gregory. And I asked him, I said, hey, I need a favor. I need 30 minutes. I said, because we have this case over here in federal court. I argued this case November 1st, 2023, and we still haven't had an answer. It's July 2024. My mother has all of this evidence. I'm not coming down here every day for what? I'm going down here every day. I'm going to City Hall. I'm going to these committee meetings. Me and Miss Jessica at the time. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, no, this has to come out before they hurry up and try to put this under
Yeah.
the rug. You know what I'm saying? So I need more press. So I was able to get on Breakfast Club. He gave me 30 minutes. I was able to break it down, and these people doubled down on not
Well,
helping.
let me ask you a question, Zoe, because just for clarity, so people understand, like the
Yeah.
building that was in your family since the '60s, that was a 4-unit apartment as well as a commercial property, right?
Yeah, so the lounge was at the bottom, and then 4 apartments upstairs. My godfather was living in one of the apartments. His other brother, before he passed away in 2022, He was living in one of the other apartments, and then there was two apartments in the back. My mother was fixing it up for affordable housing. My mother has a nonprofit called Notre Dame Affordable Housing. So it was meant to be for that, and of how affordable housing is supposed to be the thing. And at that time, my mother knew about the tax increment financing. My mother knew about the opportunity zones that Trump had put in place. My mother knew about all of these things, and she talked about them so much. So when I started going down there, realizing that these same people are giving tax increment financing to everybody but people that aren't in
And
the
just for people who
communities.
don't understand or don't know, tell people what is tax increment financing.
So tax increment financing money is money that is usually made up of the lottery. A lot of people don't know
Mm,
that too, but it's a lot of lottery money. Who plays the lottery the most? We do. Also, it's for blighted areas. So it's supposed to develop our communities. Who has the most blighted areas? Our community does. So the tax increment financing money that people used to call it Daly's piggy bank, the aldermen have control of over this money. And it could be in certain zones. Like, so our TIF zone, where the sandpiper is, which right now is still a TIF
hmm
zone, but because we don't have the infrastructure anymore, you can't get TIF money. The TIF money is for to
Right.
rehab it. That's revitalize what you're trying to do. That's the whole purpose of this money, and they do not give it to us. They don't give it to our communities. They give it to the same developers. They give it to their friends. When you ask the aldermen about it, they act like they don't know about it. I know the David Moore. He told my mother, "You're gonna need a PowerPoint." You know what I'm saying? Don't bring me no BS. Stuff like that. And my mother had the PowerPoint. My mother had the blueprints. She had everything. But because they had already promised that to someone, they thought that my mother's going to go away. She's in her
Right.
60s. My godfather, he's scared to death because y'all done ran him out of business and all
Right.
those things. He's 70, late 70s at the time. He's 80 now. So they never thought nobody was going to fight back. And me, man, like I'm tired. This is my mother's
Yeah.
hometown. My mother has ran away from this city 3 times: in 1978 because of the racism, in 1996 when I was 10. She had a factory. They took that away from her. And then this was going to be the third time. Nah, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this anymore because y'all are corrupt. And when it took me 6 months to realize that, oh, it's the Democratic Party. Like,
Yeah.
it's the Democratic Party. I'm not going back and forth. I don't want to hear about, oh, the Republicans not doing nothing.
Well,
It's
you know what,
us.
and I'm so glad you're talking about that because I've been full disclosure on this podcast, and I had voted Democrat my whole life, and this past election was the first time I ever voted Republican. I voted for Donald Trump mainly because of I personally think that when it comes to conservatism, I think government needs to be more physically conservative. And I'm originally from
Mm,
Chicago. I live in on the East Coast now, but I grew up in Illinois. So it's one of
mm-hmm.
those things where everybody knows who knows that Chicago's been one of the most corrupt cities for a long time, and it's heavily blue state. So I'm really interested about the Chicago Flips Red movement that you have going on. And so at what point did you decide to start the Chicago Flips Red movement?
I started it after the Breakfast Club, the DNC was coming, and when the DNC was heading here, Charlemagne put me in contact with some of Kamala
hmm
Harris people because I had explained to everybody, after I got off the Breakfast Club, that I don't care about neither one of these. I don't care about none of these parties. But what I'm not going to do is allow the blue party to continue to hurt us. It's
Right.
about us. It's not. And I said so. I told this man back in September, if they didn't settle my family's case, I would flip it red. on the local and state level because this everything is blue, blue, blue. We got 50 blue aldermen. We've got all our U.S. state reps. It's like 48 to like 3 Republican. You got nobody to go back and
Right.
forth to be like, nah, man, like these policies don't make any sense. You everything is blue, 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 blue. They keep talking about that they're working for the working class. They're working for for black
Right.
people. All this stuff, and I'm like, nah, they just make money off of our oppression and us being messed up. I'm not gonna continue to play this game because I'm not oppressed. Give me
Right.
my money. So once I realized that after I met with Kamala Harris people and they weren't going to do anything, I said, you know what? Game on. Okay, game on. Y'all want to play this game? Game on. Donald Trump, let's go. I will push to make sure this man get in office. And that's just what it is. It was so bad that I put my independent candidacy in for president of the United States. And I did it because it was a lot of my friends, because I am part of whatever that crew it is, but I'm not really part of that crew. I'm
I
just Zoe. I just happen to
I got
like women. However, however, a lot of my friends, because they're fear mongering and telling them that, girl, they're gonna take our rights. Girl, what rights? We don't got no gay rights. We don't got no separate. Our rights are the same rights as everybody
exactly.
else. Okay, you understand? Yeah, like y'all gonna have to. I don't know where. I don't know what y'all are talking about. But anyway, so I told them, I said, how about this? Because they were like, we can't vote for Kamala. I say, I know. So vote for me, but I'm voting for Donald Trump. I'm voting for Donald Trump, but you can't vote for her. You cannot vote for Kamala Harris. I said they literally are playing in our face right now, saying that she's a
Literally.
black woman. We literally have to stop. Like you cannot vote. So but the Project 2025, girl, I used to tell them, like, look at the New Americans plan. It's 45 pages. Like, I need y'all to really understand. Y'all need to do y'all research. I would never stick my neck out here for this man if I think this man is so racist. I've dealt with racism. I'm a suburban kid, and I tell people this all the time. I was raised in the suburbs. I understand. I know what
Mm-hmm.
racism is. I know exactly. I taught my third grade teacher a
Mm-hmm.
racist, so I know exactly when I'm dealing with
Right.
racism. And but I'm also dealing with black on black crime on the black side. Economically, we fucked up. They're fucking us.
No,
Excuse
no.
my
It's all,
language. They're messing
tell it
us
tell it like
up.
it is.
Yeah, they're messing us up on the violence. We're killing each other. You
Well,
understand? You're gatekeeping. We're gatekeeping each other. We're making each other homeless. We're not building tables to make sure everybody has a seat at the
yes.
table. I'm tired. I'm tired of arguing with my own people about liberation that Dick Gregory used to talk about all the time. How are we going to be ever get liberated when everybody think they got know the answer, but ain't nobody out here on the
Facts.
front line?
Well, you know what? And you touched on so many great points because I don't care about party either. I think the Democratic branding for the black community has been like Nike or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like a
Right.
brand.
Oh, that's a good
You know
way
what
to
I
put
mean?
it.
And it's gotten to the point where
Yeah.
people people are not even looking at the things
Just
you
do it.
said. For example, I always tell people, I'm like, yo, listen, there are a lot of good examples to look at around the country. New York is one. Um, LA is one, but Chicago is a great example. And you had mentioned this on the Breakfast Club, and I tell people too, like Chicago is the most segregated city, big city in America. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, so for instance, Pritzker has been going on TV. Brandon Johnson, Pritzker did some goofy walk on the lakefront a couple of days ago, talking about how safe Chicago is last week.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, 6 o'clock in the morning on the lakefront. Of course, ain't nobody shooting at you. But over the Labor Day weekend, we had what 52 people shot, 7 dead,
54. Boy,
58,
58 actually. 58 and 8
and 8 killed,
killed.
and that's in 3 days.
And 5 of them are women. Like at this point, and for the last 3 weekends, it has been about 3 to 4 women killed under the age of 30. I mean, like just little stuff like that, that I see and nobody's talking about it. I'm like, these are young mothers. This one girl that got killed last week, she was like, I think 26. She was a mother of
Yeah.
nine, so 9 kids. They lost their mother at
Gee.
26 years old. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we're dealing with a crisis. We're dealing with an education crisis. We're dealing with a crisis of division in our community because the government has made it like that when it comes to the crime bill, when it comes to mass
Hmm.
incarceration, when it comes to us not addressing our mental issues that we have in our community. We cannot pray everything
Right.
away. That's why we have clinical psychologists, psychiatrists. We have therapists, not social workers, but therapists who understand what
Hmm.
PTSD is, post traumatic stress disorder, that we're all
Hmm.
dealing with. Major depression is what we're all dealing with while still trying to navigate through social media, through this media that's lying to us. We're dealing with a gay
Hmm.
crisis. This gay crisis is that's a whole nother
A whole nother.
subject and stuff. We're dealing with trans
Right.
supremacy. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we're dealing with so much stuff that is like I'm living in a horrible parody, but at the end of the day, somebody has to just point out, like, we're living in a lawless world. Like, they're trying, these Democrats, these progressive Democrats, because there's no moderation, they are progressively a problem. They are a threat. They are a threat to the republic. They are a threat to democracy. They are a threat to the U.S. Constitution. They are a threat to our families. They are a threat to our men. They are a threat to our women, through our children, through our elders. They are a threat. They are pushing a socialist agenda in a capitalist
Yes.
society that's just not going to
Well, you know
work.
what? You're absolutely right. And Chicago is such a great example of that because, you know, not only is your story, and I'm so glad you're on the show because your story about them knocking down the property, trying to take the property as they have. In addition to that, the bad policies even with property taxes. I covered a few stories, not only in New York but in Illinois, where they actually are taxing a lot of properties on the south side, southwest side more than some of the properties on the north side because so the
Yeah.
property taxes are insane, and a lot of people don't understand. It's like while people are so focused on Donald Trump and talking about MAGA and white people and what white people are doing to a lot of the leaders in local government are look just like us, right? And are blue,
Right. And are useless.
and are making it to a point where people cannot afford not only to keep their home, but it's the property taxes in a lot of cases. So they end up confiscating people's or foreclosing on people's homes
Mm-hmm.
because the property taxes are ridiculous. One of the stories I covered, a woman on the south side, she had her house, her monthly payment was 932. So she still has a mortgage on the
Mm-hmm.
property. They raised her taxes, so now her new payment is just under 2,000. So her taxes literally doubled. So there's a lot of stories like this going on, and I'm like, we really have to talk about the actual policies. So the fact that
Yeah.
people need to know about your story and many other stories. It's
Yeah, because we're losing our generational wealth. Tax the reason why I wish more people would talk about the TIF money, because the TIF money, if it's used correctly, it is supposed to build our infrastructures in our
mhm,
communities. And it keeps the money flowing in our communities. Just say that they would have did my family right and other people's families who were trying to get TIF money. They were opening up businesses. My mother was opening up housing. You have people like there's a girl in my group, Danielle
mhm.
Carter. Her and her husband was opening up a fitness
Okay.
center. You understand? She's very big in they're big in health, both of them. These are things that we need in our community. That brings money into our community, and that helps us with resources for the kids so they can understand that, hey, we don't got to be out here, doing Grand Theft Auto
Right.
missions every weekend. You know what I'm saying? We can have the rec center again. we can bring things into the community. Like there could be, we're not teaching our kids etiquette. We're not teaching our kids how to hold the
You could
door
tell
for the
by the
boys
type
on
of
our open.
crimes that the kids are doing.
Yeah, like we just out
Smashing,
here
grabbing,
just,
don't
I
care
mean,
about
playing the
nothing.
Wild Wild West. Yeah, they don't care, but why should they? Why should they when you've got their parent? You got some parents that love to say "fuck these kids." I hate when they say that. Like that irritates my soul. I hate that we've turned brunch into a stroll and barking fest instead of bringing your
Right.
kids to understand brunch. My mother used to take me to brunch all the time when I
Yeah.
was a child. You understand? I love to this day. I go to brunch, and people always say like, "Oh, you bring your mom." Yes, my mother taught me this. My mother taught
Mm-hmm.
me this. My mother taught I eat all types of food because of my
Mm-hmm.
mom. I know I'm
Right.
cultured. And a lot of our community, our kids are not cultured. I didn't wake up to hearing
Yeah.
gunshots. I didn't have to duck. I didn't have guns. I didn't have to deal with
Yeah.
any of that. And I refuse to let these kids deal with
Right.
that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I didn't live that life. I didn't live that life, and I'm not gonna live that life at the age of 39. So whatever Trump has to bring it in. My sister was in the military. My sister's husband was in the military. My cousin-in-law was one of the top cops here at the time. Terry
Mm-hmm.
Hiller. I come from law enforcement. Yeah, and I've been on the other
Right.
side. You know what I'm saying? So I know there's bad in
Sure.
everything. There's bad apples in everything. But the majority of police officers that I know, that I personally know, and that I've encountered are doing their
Absolutely. Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
And yeah, and even with the National Guard, Eisenhower deployed the National Guard when in Arkansas when the kids were trying to go into the school, right? Because what they were getting harassed, right? Because of their
Yep.
skin color. Did anybody get killed? Did any of the kids get hurt?
No.
No. You understand? Like I don't understand when people say, "Well, you need to know your history. You need to know your
Well, you know what the
history."
thing is that this is the sad thing to me. I really don't think when from Johnson to Pritzker and everybody else who's standing up on the perch talking about no military in Chicago. I don't really believe they really care about the violence. I think they care about being upstaged
No.
by a Republican, and I think that part is more important than the safety. And they were saying all this before Labor Day weekend, and now you can go on any news story they talk about how bloody Labor Day weekend is alone. Just Labor Day weekend, not counting all the
Just Labor Day
you know what I
weekend.
mean? So it's like that part, and that's the part for me that makes me look again. I don't think any party is perfect, right? But at the end of the day, the
Right.
Democratic Party is the one who has the stronghold in Chicago. They had this big talk about gerrymandering and all this stuff in Texas, and they all ran to Chicago. People from Texas, and
Right.
Chicago has a grip on it that's blue. And at the end of the day, they have to show as a party that they care about the constituents. Because when I look at the everyday people on the ground in Chicago, they're like, it's not safe. It's not safe.
You know.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's it's crazy to act like it is.
It's not. I mean, if seniors are getting shot next to billboards that he has in every hood, better, safer, together, stronger. His stupid stuff he says, better, safer, stronger, safer, together. All these this BS building better, safer, all this stuff. It's Brandon Johnson, City of Chicago, and then, a block down, there's three seniors just laying down on the
Crazy.
ground. You understand? Like, what are we living in? You understand? Like, this is a power trip. This is an ego trip. This man does not care about anyone. I don't even think he cares about himself because if he did, he wouldn't even be this stupid. So I just feel like we need a commander in chief. It's just like you got the state, you got the local, the state, right? So even when I was doing this fight, I said you gotta look at this as I'm a business person, so I look at it as a
Right.
corporation, right? I believe that the United States of America is a corporation. I also feel like the Democratic Party has been running the United States like a nonprofit, like a
Yeah,
Catholic Charities, and
absolutely.
you know how Catholic Charities. Yeah. So it's absolutely just terrible. No one knows what they're doing. They're full of organizers. They're happy that they did a hunger strike. I see hunger strikes. Y'all still fat, so that's really not working. Like y'all not doing nothing to protect our communities, but stealing our
No.
money. And we need forensic audits, but we also need to bring the supervisor in. And who was the supervisor? The commander in chief is who?
Right.
Donald Trump. Okay, Donald Trump. Y'all are mad because Donald Trump was a Democrat.
Right.
Okay, and he decided that he also saw the BS. And he probably knows a lot of things that he probably won't even tell us because we'll probably really be
Yeah.
messed up, right? So, as him being a person who is he was if in his day an
Mm-hmm.
influencer, a
Mm-hmm.
businessman. He wasn't a he was a playboy. He
Right.
had ladies. There was nothing wrong. He had a great black following. He had a good entertainment following. Everybody loved him. He supported a lot of Democrat nominees, including
Right.
Kamala Harris. All of these things, and what he saw was probably his businesses tanking. He was, you understand? He probably seen it. I just had a, Barron is a baby. You understand what I'm saying? Barron is my last kid. I need to make sure my legacy is. I need him to understand what the Trump legacy
Mm-hmm.
is. I have other kids. I can't do it. So he knew his power. He knew his privilege, but he also is a businessman and a person that everybody
Right.
loved. So how do you become a Republican and all of a sudden you
I mean,
say it?
literally, I'm telling you, you just summed it all up. And I have these conversations with people all the time. Like, it kind of blows my mind. Like, I get people not agreeing with certain policies. I get that, right?
Yeah,
So, but the him being like Satan, being the worst. I mean, everything in this country is his fault right now. If you look at it through a certain
everything.
lens, and it blows my mind. I'm like, y'all. I mean, first of all, even talking about Chicago, for example, going into 2026,
Right.
they have a $1.1 billion deficit going into 2026, right?
Definitely.
And you mentioned as well, and I talked to people about illegal immigration too in the sanctuary cities, but Chicago, another poster boy example where over $600 million has been spent since 2021,
Yeah, and that's a lot. It's
and it's
more than
right, it's
that. Yeah, like this man is a
crazy.
thief. That's just what it is. My man, as soon as he came in there, he started
Brandon
stealing. But
Johnson.
like I said, when I first when I first started realizing the crisis with the immigration, when I first realized like how like crazy that was, I was like, man, I said, why would they accept that $52 million? That one-time payment for 52 million. At that time, it was only like 25,000 illegals
Hmm.
over here, and you divide $52 million. Why are you still telling these people to come to Chicago? And they kept saying, "Well, no, Abbott is bringing them, pushing them here because Texas is not a sanctuary state."
Right.
Number one. Number two is you guys are down at City Hall saying, "Keep them coming. We're here. We're a sanctuary city." Because what y'all thought was racist Biden, the one that y'all think everything that Trump is, that's really what Biden is and still was, everything. They thought that he was going to continue to send the $52 million payment, like how he was sending Ukraine
Hmm.
money, how the Israel money. So they thought that the same thing was going to happen. Once they realized that that wasn't going to happen, then they started going in different surpluses, COVID
Mm.
surpluses. Invest Southwest money that was supposed to be
For the
for the
South
South
Side,
Side
yes,
and the
I
West
remember that.
Side. They started taking that money and putting it in housing bonds. Nothing getting done for us because you're moving these people from here to here. Because what is this? It's their
Yes,
voting. They need these
it's the
people for
voting block. Yes.
voters. Yeah, and they didn't think that we were going to push back the way that we pushed back. You've got me, myself, well, me, You got Miss Jessica. You've got a lady man by the name of George Blakemore. They've been going down there for years. You've got a family, Michael Young Bay, his wife, and his daughter trying to find housing while they're screaming about affordable housing and taking care of affordable housing. You've got three people down there dealing with two property issues and one housing
Mm-hmm.
issue. And you're ignoring these citizens, two seniors, because I'm there for my
Mm-hmm.
mother. Right, well, actually, three seniors. My godfather as well, Miss Jessica, who's in her 60s, and then you're dealing with Michael Young Bay and his wife and stuff, and they're in their 50s, but they have this young child who has seizures, who needs a home, and they are ignoring this family, but yelling on the news and stuff about how they need more money to come because they need to do affordable housing. What is he saying now? We need
That's
more affordable
exactly the
housing.
point.
What are
Yeah,
you
he's saying
talking
that. Yeah,
about?
we and then Pritzker was saying that too. That he doesn't need Trump's help. They don't. That what they need is the money that was promised to them for anti-violence programs. And I'm like, dude, what are y'all talking about? Where is all? I totally agree with you. A forensic audit for Chicago would be nasty because I think that it,
Yeah, you might as well get the handcuffs as well, because you're gonna start seeing them going out one by one. There's another one. There's another one. Like they stole, man, Department of Planning money. When I first started paying attention to the budget, I was like, why does public health? This one, it was called
mm-hmm,
epidemiology, and epidemiology for 4 years they were I don't care. They say it's not laundering, so we're not going to say laundering. But they had
allegedly.
$1.8 billion. Why do we? Why are we? Why does this one epidemiology, which has to do with, I think they said, disease like cold, like to find out if you have different diseases or whatever. Some BS. But anyway, epidemiology, $1.8 billion.
Shh.
Now we have $1.1 billion
Mm-hmm.
deficit. But public health, that's not talking about the whole public health budget. Just that one description for 4 years, $1.8 billion. Billion, BIL, and that's when I first I went down there. And I said, "Look, I'm not an accountant. I'm
Some
not an
don't look right.
accountant, but this just don't make no
Mm-hmm.
sense." And then the next day, the aldermen decided that they want now we want to allocate we want this, we want you to break down this. Oh, now you want stuff to be broken down because y'all getting
Right.
paid. Y'all are taking we're paying y'all extra every year for these bonuses for what? You guys have you guys aren't helping citizens at all. You're only helping illegals and you're barely helping them because y'all done stole their money. Like we're under
Yeah.
attack, and the only person that can come and save us is Donald Trump. And it's not about a white, black. It's not
Right.
about ethnic thing. It's about a person who cares about America and that is going to go by the U.S. Constitution, understands the U.S. Constitution. They're breaking the law. Like what they keep saying that he's
Right.
unconstitutional. No, y'all are
Listen,
unconstitutional.
Zoe, I'm telling you, Zoe. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It blows my mind the finesse that the Democratic Party is on. The finesse is
I
so
mean,
crazy.
finesse. That's exactly what it is.
It's literally in our faces. I mean, right now on the East Coast in New York, everybody's all excited about this guy named Zoran Mandami, who's supposed to be the next mayor.
Yeah, another loser.
Yeah, and it's like um, the policies are just straight socialist, and that's not even anything else to describe but straight socialist. And it's like we're gonna get more and more and more money. But the problem is in New York, you're gonna have the billionaires and people who have money, they gonna leave. So Chicago, for example, the reason and one of the reasons why you touching on so many great points, one of the reasons why I started telling people like, look, you got to start looking at government and what they're spending, meaning local government. Don't worry about the federal government alone. Worry
Yes.
about your city and your towns because you got to pay attention. So I commend you for looking at that stuff because people don't realize that how they spend their money locally, that's what affects your life the most. And crazy the
Exactly.
finesse that they have going on, because what they do is that they have you focused on saying, oh, well, the billionaires aren't paying their fair share, and then they do the whole black white people and Project 2025, and they want to hurt the black community. And I'm like, listen, if you got to deal with crime, you have to also deal with whether places are business friendly. And you touched on that earlier. If places are not business
Right.
friendly, you cannot have great communities if you don't have strong businesses. You just can't have it. And a lot of those policies in Illinois, in New York, California, they're anti-business. But at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
the reality is, and this is what I see happening too, is that a lot of people moved as far as business people who have money, who can invest and do business wherever they want. They have moved to Texas, Florida, Tennessee, places that are business friendly. And places like Chicago, it's scary to think about what the future is going to be. It's really scary to me. I'm literally scared because the finesse is just crazy. And I'm like, who's going to be
Right.
holding the bag to pay the not the federal taxes, but the local and state taxes? The grandmas, like you said, the grandmas, the people who are older, elderly, have their houses paid off, and they cannot afford the taxes and everything else going on, and are not safe. So it's insane, man. It's insane.
Yeah. It's like no. I feel like no elder, like after a certain age, you shouldn't be paying no taxes on those, especially if the house is
Hell
paid
yeah.
off. Like that's done. Now I feel like if you had got like a maybe a second or reverse mortgage, something like that, you have to take care of
Sure.
that. You have to. But as far as taxes, you should not be losing your
Yeah.
home for taxes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the idea
Yeah.
of losing your home to taxes, and even to get a nasty tax increase as an elderly person is just
No, and as a black person, honestly, to be quite honest, as a black person in this
right.
country,
Well,
there's no reason why we're
for
paying
example, and
taxes.
even at the labor union rally they had yesterday, Brandon Johnson, and there were a few other people. The thing that is unsettling to me is sometimes what they'll do. The Democratic Party, I noticed that they do is that they tend to kind of tether black problems with a bunch of other problems. So, it,
Right, and that's a problem too. That's why another reason why I appreciate President Trump, because if people would stop hating him and look to see what he's doing, because all he's doing is separating us, which we need to be a long time ago. Because the problem is we've been lumped in with
yes,
everybody, and what he's doing is something that needs to be done. And unfortunately, y'all feel some type of way because y'all are triggered because he's white.
right,
Y'all triggered because he's white, and y'all feel like he's white and Republican. All Republicans
yes,
are rich, and that's not the
right,
case.
right.
You understand? They're every Democrat is not rich, but they got billionaires.
Oh,
They got a
hell yeah.
lot. You think that Trump is a billionaire? You think that he's taking care of his billionaire friends? That's what y'all
Right.
want to say? Look what Brandon Johnson is doing. Look what Governor Pritzker is doing.
They've all
You
enriched
understand? Like
themselves.
look at what George Soros is
Exactly.
doing.
Yes. They've all enriched themselves at the end of the day. You know.
Right. But why would I not? I'm a capitalist. I tell people I'm for people
Yes.
for profit. Why would I not put my people on
Exactly.
in my group?
Exactly.
And I would hope that they would do the same thing. I hope that any if we have if we help people in our community that need anything, food, they're about to lose their home, they need any type of shoes, stuff, AAU, playing basketball, all this stuff. I would hope that we make sure that we come together and make sure our the kids, our elders, whatever need stuff in our communities like every other
Of
ethnicity
course.
does.
But the problem.
We're the only. I mean, we don't. That's. I think that's what really irritates me. Even with me arguing with people every
Yeah.
day about what I'm doing.
No, I feel you. I mean, and you're so right, because the problem is that for whatever reason, for our communities, it's like the federal government is supposed to, like, we're waiting on something to be given, and it's like it's not so much about receiving something from the federal government. It's really about policies that help our communities actually thrive. And I I just think that
Right.
a lot of the policies, just for again an example of Chicago, a lot of the policies are not helping us thrive. It's interesting because even
At all.
I've had conversations with people about immigration, for example, and I'm just like, I would ask people who are, you know, strongly Democrat. I'd be like, yo, don't you think something is wrong with you have all this money spent on illegal migrants, and in the communities that are needed, where the money's needed, it's not being spent? Don't you think at minimum that's a problem? And people are just, I don't know, for whatever reason, because it was done under
It's like
Biden.
it's not
It's just
connected.
like they don't see it. They just feel like, well, Donald Trump. It's not. It's people like, no, it's not about that. It's just that Donald Trump, he is anti-immigrant, and I'm just like, yo, no, you're not even looking at the money. Literally, the money. Same thing in New York. They spend all that money housing migrants and hotels and all that, and New York has a lot of the same crime issues. For example, they talk about crime being down, right? And I was telling
Right.
people, I'm like, you know what, you gotta look under the hood a little bit. So, for instance, a couple weeks, maybe a couple months ago, I had did a reaction video about Chicago being number one in murders for 13 years straight. And then recently, when Trump and the National Guard, went into, DC and Baltimore, and then they were talking about coming to Chicago, then you started hearing all this conversation about crime being down. And the interesting thing is
Right.
that the numbers depend on the context. So, for instance, for cities that have 1 million people or more, Chicago is number one, from my understanding. Now, if you look at smaller
Right.
cities, maybe Memphis, St. Louis, some of those rank on top of Chicago, but they don't have the same amount of people. So when you look at larger cities, Chicago's tip top up there. But they're gonna sit up here and pretend like Trump and all of them are just making it up, and they just want to upstage Brandon Johnson and Pritzker and so on. I'm like, listen, y'all got to see what's really going on. You got to actually take a step back and
Right.
actually look at the facts. So it's crazy what's going on. I love the fact that you started this movement, and I think it's so
Yeah.
important. I mean, you know, so do you think that Illinois, because, and again, this is my opinion, I think that it's very possible that Illinois is going to continue to flip red. I really do think so. So, what is your vision for, the next couple of years? How do you think 2028 is going to go?
I think that we will be seeing a Republican governor, a Republican mayor for the first time since
Wow.
1931. I think that we are going to get at least, my goal is 20 Republican aldermen, or at least, because there's a lot of younger people that I always tell them too, like, this is y'all time to go
Hmm.
independent. You understand? Like, because people tell me, like, well, Zoe, why don't you just go independent? I say, I am independent. I'm independent, but I align with the
Right.
Republican Party. Yeah, if I was not independent, if I didn't have an independent mindset, I would believe everything that the Democrats are feeding
Correct.
y'all. Okay, I said, so that's number two is I am again a business. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always been, and then I was into the entertainment world, so I see it on
Hmm.
both sides. I see the BS over there, you know what I'm saying? That's keeping us on them chains too. And then I see politically we're in chains because we choose to stay in chains because y'all want to keep going blue. No, independently, all black people should be
Yeah,
independent. All
I
Americans should be
agree.
independent, to be quite honest. But black people at this time, there was no reason why we continue to be dedicated to a party that doesn't even want us in the
Right.
party. They keep we outside the
Literally.
party.
Nine
We can't get
voting at
in.
90%. I mean, I had people who, and I keep it a buck with you. For me, it was very simple. Like I said, I voted for Obama. I voted for, did I vote for Hillary Clinton? I think I actually did vote for Hillary Clinton. I did not vote for Joe Biden. Um, at all. I didn't vote for Joe Biden in 2020, but this election showed me that, you know, I couldn't understand for the life of me how people were like, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. And it wasn't personal against her. It's just like
Right,
the ideas and policies she had put forth to me were clearly disconnected from reality. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that at the end of the day, it was the loyalty for wanting to vote for her was really about not wanting to vote for Donald Trump. And I was telling people, I'm like,
right.
I didn't vote for Donald Trump because I disliked Kamala Harris. It's just that I feel like when it comes to the black community, what this is what I love. I love the fact that people are starting to say, well, wait a minute. This whole talking to us real simple and you ain't black if you don't vote for me, and I went to the soul food spot in Harlem and just the basic stuff and going on the
Right.
Breakfast Club. And, a lot of people aren't falling for that no more. They're like, wait a minute, your actual policy doesn't actually align to the betterment of what is supposed to be for quote unquote us. And I think that is such a positive thing. Donald Trump, to me, I'm so glad that he won because these conversations are being had, and a lot of what you're doing, honestly, and you can tell me what you think. I think had Kamala won or any other
Ooh.
Democrat, I don't think people would be paying attention to a lot of Chicago's issues. I think that it would just be business as usual.
It would have it would have died
Mm-hmm.
down. It would have died down, but it would have died down. But also, man, people think January 6th was something. So they would have seen me. I would have been down there like, oh hell no, no, like no. But the thing is, we're in spiritual warfare. We're the chosen ones. God knows that we were in trouble. And I always say this because they say devil was an
Mm-hmm.
angel as well, right? And I feel like the devil like came and like knocked on like heaven's door and was like, hello, come talk to you for a minute. And like basically was like, look now. They're destroying themselves down
Yeah.
there. They're destroying themselves down there. You have to give them because they're not learning nothing in school now. So you got to give them
Right.
something that'll make them
Yes.
wake up. Because illegal immigration has always been. I'm from
Yeah.
New York, so you understand. So that's never been a problem. My first love was a Dominican.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? The issue is they can't. You flooded America, and then you put the money on top and right in front of our face while people are getting displaced, losing their homes, like my
Mm-hmm.
situation, kidnapped. Y'all violating the very same constitution that y'all are trying to use for these people who are not citizens at
Literally.
all. What are we doing here? You have no choice but to be like, y'all got me
Oh,
fucked
right.
up.
Right.
I don't give a fuck. You're gonna need 100 people. Man, what? And the crazy thing is, I used to associate with Alicia Garza. She's one of the founder members of Black
Mm-hmm.
Lives Matter. And she was one of the first people when the situation happened with my mom. I had her look at my
Mm-hmm.
papers to make sure that it was a case because my mother had already lost this case and then they hurried up and appealed it so they could make it seem like she couldn't open it back up anymore. You understand? And my mom knew that they were on some BS, and she also knew that she has one daughter that used to be a savage. And if I got to go back that way, it has to
Happen.
happen. So when I showed Alicia these papers, and she said she has a case, she said, but they're gonna if you don't put this in lawsuit format, they're going to make it seem like she's a crazy old lady. So we did all that. We went and got a lawyer and all that stuff. My mother first had the case back in New
Okay.
York, in Brooklyn, because she wouldn't want to deal with these people. They brought it back here because, of course, they wanted to say it's out of
Right.
jurisdiction. Da da da. But when I went to Alicia again, and I said, "Man, I'm thinking about protesting outside." She's like, "Well, you're gonna need 100 people. Aren't you Black Lives Matter? Aren't you the black? You can't give me 100 people out there with me. Like I can't get the y'all can't call Ben Crump. Like I need like where are these? What these the freedom fighters? Aren't y'all the freedom fighters? Aren't y'all the new
Only,
freedom
only,
fighters? I need
only,
y'all
only
out
if
there."
it's somebody white that did something to somebody black.
Yeah, oh, I gotta lose my, and then I have to then start realizing, like, damn, like I gotta be, like, that's what I call a
You
hashtag package.
you
I'm
got to
like,
get your ass
damn,
whooped by
like
cops
I
back
gotta
home.
lose my life. I gotta lose my life. Hurt my mother. Oh, she already had a stroke. She got to lose me for you to give her some
Yep.
economic justice. Fuck y'all.
No, it's
So yeah,
it's a crazy game, and the
oh, yeah,
loyalty to the brands blows my mind. You know what I mean? So well, I'm not gonna hold you forever. I know you a busy person,
yeah.
so I appreciate you coming on. Hopefully, this won't be our last time talking. Um, I
Oh yeah,
really appreciate
anytime.
you, and
I prefer these because I tell people all the time like mainstream is cool, but I reached out to all these mainstream people when I needed help,
yeah,
and none of them reaching out. None of them reached out then. So I don't mind. Thank you now for the opportunity, but I rather talk to platforms that are smaller because you guys are independent and you guys need these type of stories on
thank
your
you. I
pages.
appreciate
So
that. I
anytime.
appreciate you. Well, you know what? Tell people. I know you also have. You founded Chicago Flips Red. You have your clothing apparel. I saw that you have that as well.
Yeah, uncomfortable truth
Yes.
lifestyle. That's it. That's my alter
So
ego.
that's what's up. So
Yeah.
anything else you want to tell the people, before we
I have a podcast called Dick Gregory Taught Me To. I have like 16 episodes. I tell people to always go there and listen to all of them. Listen to how I first started, my story to how Chicago Flips Red is and how I feel. I think that's the last one, Chicago Flips Red. I've been busy with a lot of other things, but and I just ask people to do their own
yeah.
research. You know what I'm saying? Do your own research. Go. White House has a link where you can look at all of his press conferences. Listen to what he has
Hmm.
to say. Not little bits and sound bites and stuff that they mess up and construe and make it seem like he is
Right.
Satanist. You understand? Like no, he's not. You understand? The real Satan's is right there on 121 North LaSalle Street on the fifth floor. Brandon Johnson, and we got Springfield, and then 118th North Clark, Tony Dwayne Preckwinkle. We got Kwame Raoul, our Attorney General, who's just as bad as Kamala Harris. That's another reason why she didn't
Hmm.
win. So you understand? So it's just things like that. And understand what these people
Hmm.
roles are. Because that's another thing. We're paying for these
Facts.
people. There's you cannot sit here and tell me there's nothing that you can do.
Yeah.
What do you mean there's nothing you could do?
Yeah.
You have to do something.
Literally.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you. I appreciate the work you're doing. Anything I can do to keep helping to spread the word and let me know. I will do so. And like I said, thank you for joining the platform. Won't be the last time we speak.
Yes. Thank you for having
Do
me.
your thing. I see you out there doing your thing. So I'm in full support. So I appreciate you.
Thank
All
you,
right. I'll
King.
talk to you soon.
I don't call too many of y'all kings because I don't know what's going on
Listen,
out here.
I feel you. It's a lot of non-kings out there. So trust
Yes.
me, I feel you. I appreciate you.
All
All right,
right.
thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Talk to you soon, Zoe.
Bye.
Peace.